to you for corrections. I'm getting ready. If you handed the test in to me, I'm going to hand it back for corrections. The other thing I'm handing back for corrections will be worksheets 13 and 14. Okay, so I'm handing back a few things. So let's see. Thank you.
I didn't think we. Oh, we did do lesson 30.
Is this thing lesson 31? Is this thing on this thing? Yeah. No,
Right.
not Monday. The Monday after.
Did you watch the recording?
Now look at what on your whether it's a test or it's your work. Look to see what notes I put on there for you. Let's see. There. It's 14. I don't. Right.
Can I turn the next one? That I fixed the stuff that you were.
Well, there's nothing to fix on there. Like that, it is what it is. You don't fix homework. Like the homework is to be fixed before it's turned in. So once I turn your grade back in on homework, that's it.
Okay.
Wait, are we supposed to?
But I have it turned
What has a grade on it?
Okay.
Evelyn.
Wait, I don't want to calculate.
Okay. So now, listen up. Now, also, if you owe me homework that needed to be turned in. So that's what I took up on Monday, but if you need to get it fixed based on what I gave you back on Monday. So this would be, what is it, lesson 26 and 30? Is that right? 30. So if you have not turned in 26 and 30 and need to give me that, I will take it. Thank you.
Oh, no. Oh, they're perfectly colored.
26 and 30. Okay. Let's do 26 and 30.
And then you can't the name.
Yeah, I don't like okay.
Like outside there. You printed before, but I mean, but I already printed it. At least I was trying.
What is it supposed to help? What's the math? Now, one of the things I need you to understand, listen up, please. One of the things I need you to understand is with this different homework method, I am not chasing down homework. I am not sending you a message saying, hey, I'm missing you to send it to me. It is going in as zeros in the system. Okay? So I need you guys to understand that you need to be checking. If you're not sure if you've turned something in, then you need to look and see. All right? So I'm putting more responsibility on you guys for your grades. All right? I've got 30 plus students. I can't keep chasing you down. Okay? So it's the kind of thing where it is your job to keep up with your work. So check the system. Remember that homework is due on the Mondays we come to class. So next Monday that we come to class, it'll not next week, but the next week, the first assignment that you'll be turning in is lesson 31. Okay? So that means that hopefully you've done the homework from lesson 31 that I assigned on Monday. If you haven't done it, then you need to get it finished up pretty quickly. But hopefully you've done that. Put it in a safe place. That's why you should have a binder. Put it in your binder, put it aside so you know that it's going to go along with all of your other homework lessons. Okay, so hang on to it. You'll have 31 and 32, probably 33. I don't know how far we'll get between this week and next week, but you're going to have probably 4 due that Monday. Okay. Now, also remember, as far as the homework goes, if you do not have it turn in on that Monday, if it is a day past Monday, or if you don't have it on that Monday, remember I told you guys last Thursday. Easy A. This should be an easy 100. All right. You'll have it by the time you turn in the test on that material. So like you guys turned in the test on Monday, so don't have your homework for the for the homework that went along with that last test, and it's a 0. If you haven't gotten me that last batch of homework by now, it's a 0. Okay. So I need you guys to understand this, and I need you to explain it to your parents when they ask you why you have a 0. Okay. Or if they ask you why is your grade low, that's going to be on you. And or I'm happy to set up a conference and we can sit and you can tell them in front of me. Okay. Because I need y'all to understand that there was a lot to be able to get away with the last 9 weeks because the shuffling of papers and trying to get things. But now I need y'all to understand we're stepping up the game. This is your responsibility. It is not my responsibility to hunt you down and find a missing assignment. That is your job. Okay. So know that you are in control of your grade. I do not give grades. I do not determine your grade. You determine your grade. Okay. So I need you to understand that. Also remember that if you do not have a 70 average when we leave for Christmas, you do not come back in January. Okay. That means you can't come back to the class. That's a co-op rule. So if you don't have at least a 70% average when we leave at Christmas or when we have final grades for the semester, the co-op says you can't come back. Okay. Now I'm willing to talk with parents and things. And as long as I have a commitment from a student, I have allowed students to come back as long as they were willing to do what they were supposed to do. Okay. But just do the work. All right. That's all it is just doing the work. Even with the homework, I mean, you're getting the right answers. I'm sending you the answers to make the corrections and stuff. So, but even if you didn't do corrections and you missed all your work, you should still be pulling a B or a C on the homework, even not doing corrections, because I'm looking for, did you do the lesson notes? Did you head your paper? Did you write minus whatever at the top of your paper? I'm giving you points for doing that. Some of you still won't do it, so I can't give you points if you don't do what you're supposed to do, okay? So I'm trying to give you the points. I'm trying to help you out with some of this, and then that way if you bomb a test, it doesn't totally kill you because you've got the homework grade to boost you up. But some of you are letting homework just totally sink you, and I hate that, okay? All right, so we have been talking about graphing. We've been talking about our coordinate grids. We've been talking about ordered pairs. So think about a grid. How is a grid broken into 4 parts? What do we use to break a grid into 4 parts? X and Y axis. Okay, which one goes side to side? X is side to side. That's horizontal. Which one goes up and down or is vertical? Y. So we have X and Y. And when those two intersect, what is the ordered pair where those two intersect?
Y intersect.
No, where do X and Y axes, huh? The origin, and what is the ordered pair for that?
0.
0, 0. Okay, X is 0, Y is 0. That's our origin. That's where those two lines intersect. Okay. So y'all said Y intercept. What is that? What is the Y intercept?
Where like the line goes intercepts the line axis.
Very good. If I have graphed a line, it is the point where it crosses over the Y axis. Remember, my Y axis is that vertical line. And so wherever my line crosses over that axis is called the Y intercept. What is my slope? What is a slope of a line?
So rise and run.
Rise over run. Good. So we're talking about the steepness of a line. Is it a line that kind of goes like this, or is it a line that goes like this, or is it a line that's like this? So horizontal lines, what is my slope of a horizontal line?
Zero. Over
Zero.
number.
Good. What's the slope of a vertical line?
The number over zero.
It's a number over zero, and so that's undefined. Okay. It has no slope. All right. So again, I told you that silly thing about, a baby can crawl, but it cannot crawl up a wall. I don't know why.
Unless you're Jack.
So anyway, so straight up and down, no slope. Side to side is going to be horizontal, which is a slope of zero. Okay. So that's what we're going to be picking up today, is talking about our slope. We had homework where we used our slope formula, where we looked at our X and Y coordinates and we could calculate the slope. Okay. So the slope formula is where we have M is equal to what over what?
Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1.
Good. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1 is my slope formula. Okay.
It's my job. I have a life. I was in school, my job. Not really, but. Literally school, but not just working school next year.
Where's Claire?
She's camping.
Oh.
She's camping.
Really?
I love camping.
You should just go camping during a drought.
She's camping at a truck rally.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a look, starting with lesson 31. Okay. So
Jennifer.
our first part of our homework on the right-hand side. That first part of the homework where we're using our slope formula. Any questions on 1 through 5?
I have a question. Does where the negative sign matter, like on a fraction?
So in the answer, no. Remember, it can float out in the front. It can be in the numerator or in the denominator.
Okay.
But if there is a negative, it just needs to be in one place.
Because for number 3, the negative was on the 4 we said answers, but then I got it on the 5 and I worked it. But I didn't think it mattered.
Okay, so let's take a look at that real quick. Everybody look at number 3. So in number 3, let me get a different color. Okay, so number 3, we're using this will be X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Now, one of the things, like I said, is I'm doing these, to me, I like writing my generic formula every single time, because not only do I make sure that I'm going to put everything in the right location when I plug in my actual values, but also it helps me just to memorize the formula, because the more I see it, the more I write it, the more I'm going to remember it. Okay, so I went ahead and started with YM equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So now I'm going to put the Y2 is 2 minus Y1. Now notice I have to be super careful because this is minus a negative. I have to pay close attention, bless you, to my signs. Now X2 is a negative 4 minus X1 is 1. So if dealing with positives and negatives, if that's something you're uncomfortable with, you're going to want to make sure to take your time and work through these. So if I have 2 minus a negative 2, what is that the same as?
Adding the opposite.
Adding the opposite, so it's going to be the same as 2 plus 2. So what is 2 plus 2?
4.
Okay. -4 minus 1 would be the same as adding the opposite. So I'd have -4 plus a -1. So what's that going to be? -5. You put your negative in front of that 5, or you could leave, you have 4 float in the front. My slope is still -4/5. So it's the numerator, the denominator. Okay. Be sure that when you're dealing with this negative, make sure that you slow down, think about the process of dealing with positives and negatives. Alrighty, so on the next section, activities 3, we had to convert to y equals mx plus b form. That's the slope intercept form. And then we had to give the value of m. That was the purpose. Any of these that were particular difficulty? Was everybody good with being able to solve for y in each of these? Any questions? Alrighty. So let's go ahead and take a look at activities 4. Okay. So you should be in your text, in your workbook on page 70. Yes.
Were we supposed to do activities 4? Were we supposed to do activities 4?
No, that's where we're starting right now. So activities 4. Notice that we had already done what I labeled as A, B, and C on the left-hand side. So now we're going to do the graphing of B and C. We already graphed A from yesterday. So let's look at letter B. Letter B, I went ahead and solved. I have y equals 3x minus 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to B and write it underneath y equals 3x minus 2. So in this particular one, what is m equal to?
3.
M is 3. What is B?
2.
What kind of 2?
Negative.
-2, because remember my original formula is y equals mx plus b. So if I have a negative b, if I have minus b, I know that it's because it's a negative number, because that would be like saying y equals mx plus a negative b is the same, okay? So if my value of b is negative, then I know that I'm going to put the negative with it. So if b is -2, then what is my y-intercept?
-0, -2.
0. Remember, this is always 0. And y would be -2. Okay? So by having just that one equation, y equals mx plus b, I'm able to pick out my slope and my y-intercept. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw my grid lines on my graph. So there's my x-axis and my y-axis. All right, so to graph, the first thing I graph is my y-intercept. What is my ordered pair for my y-intercept?
0, -2.
0, -2. So I'm going to graph that first. So I'm going to go to 0, -2. Am I going left or right from the origin?
No, 0.
I don't go anywhere left or right. Do I go up or down?
Down.
Down 2. Good. So now that is 0, -2. I have graphed my y-intercept. Now I'm going to use that slope of 3. I'm going to go back to that slope of 3. Remember, if slope is rise over run, I think of it as a fraction. That means 3 is the same as 3 over 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also I want to look at, so that means I could go up 3 and right 1. But I can also put negatives with both of that and have -3 over -1. Because if I have 2 negatives, that's the same as a positive, right? A negative divided by a negative is a positive.
Yeah.
So these are equal to each other. Even one has a negative and a -1. But if this one means up, where am I going here? Down. If this one says I go right, where am I going here? Left. So I see that I can either go up and right, or I can go down and left from my y-intercept. So let's go ahead and look at that. Using my slope, and actually I can see because of the way my graph is drawn, I really don't have room to move down, do I? So I'm just going to use my positive slope where I go up 3, right 1. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, right 1. Up 1, 2, 3, right 1. I don't really have room to go down. So I've been able to graph 0, -2, and I went 1, 2, 3, right 1. Up 1, 2, 3, right 1. Now, one of the things to note is that when I'm graphing a line, how many points do I need to connect a line?
2.
The minimum would be 2. For graphing purposes, it's best to do 3 to 5, just so you can make sure, because it's real easy that you could get 1 point right but make a mistake on another one. And then you've graphed a line and you go, oh, well, it looks right. But if you have a third point to test it out and see if it falls on that same line, then you know better if you've made a mistake or not. Okay? So now we've got 3 points, so I'm good to go ahead and connect those lines or connect the dots. So I'm going to go from dot to dot to dot. Now, when I'm graphing a line, I always want to make sure that I extend it out from either point and put an arrow on the end. What is the purpose of that?
Because it goes forever if you keep going.
Because it extends indefinitely beyond that point. So that's what those arrows tell me, is that my line is going on infinitely because I have an options. Okay? We used our equation in slope-intercept form. We were able to identify the slope and the y-intercept. We used our y-intercept and graphed it first. Then we used our slope to identify 2 additional points. Then we were able to connect the points to make a line. So now let's look at the next one. For letter C, we had already said up top that y is equal to -x minus 2. So let's go ahead and write that here. Y is equal to -x minus 2. What is my slope of this one?
Oh, the slope is 1,
-1. Good, because it's -x. I know it's going to be negative, and I understand my number to be 1. So I've got -1, which is the same as -1 over 1, right?
Mhm.
So that means down and right. Or I could have 1 over -1, which means I go up and left. It's good to go ahead and get in the habit of doing this part, because kind of if you go ahead and do the work ahead of time, then the graphing part's going to be easy. Okay? What is the value of b?
-2.
-2. So what does that mean my y-intercept is going to be?
2, -2.
0, -2. Now, I want you to graph that. We've got the slope and the y-intercept. I want you to graph it. Graph your y-intercept. Identify 2 other points on the line using your slope. Remember, the first thing you're going to do is graph your y-intercept. Then use your slope. If you went ahead and wrote, remember I said this was, if you go ahead and do the work up here and put m is equal to -1 over +1, that means I'm going down and left, I'm right. So that means when I graph my ordered pair, from that point, I go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Or I can go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. Graph your intercept first. Then use your slope. So let's take a look at this. What is my y-intercept? 0, -2, just like previously, right? So I've got 0, -2. Now, because my slope is -1, and we've already said I can either go down and right or up and left. If I went down and right, I'd go down 1, right 1, or I can go up and left, up and left, up and left.
It's like the first one.
then I can graph my points. Actually, let me do a different color. So look at your graph. Does it look like mine?
Yes.
We started at 0, -2. We're using our slope of -1/1 or 1/-1. That means I can either go down and right or up and left. Down and right puts a point here. Up and left, up, left, up, left. Okay? So again, I want to have at least 3 points, but you can do as many points as you want to. Okay? Sometimes I get on a roll and I don't know. Sometimes it's a little bit fun. It's something that I can actually do and understand. So I'm like, I'm doing this. There's some things that I just don't get. I'm like, I got nothing. But if I'm like, all right. So the first part of your homework, actually, yes. So the first part of your homework, so you did numbers 1 through 6 at the top, okay? So on paper, on graph paper, so it can be those graph grids that I gave you, okay? These will correspond. So this will be, actually, let me change my color so you can see it better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to refer back to your homework that you did, where you converted these to slope-intercept form, y = mx + b. Okay? You're going to look back at your equations here, identify your y-intercept and your slope, and graph the lines. Okay? This part will not be done in your book. This part is to be done on either regular graph paper or on the graph squares that I gave you. Okay? You'll just staple it to the back of this work. Okay? So you'll label it page, what page is this? Page 71? No, page 70. So this will be page 70, activities 4. Page 70, activities 4. You're going to graph the equations that you found in activities 3. Questions about that? All right, let's go ahead and move on to lesson 32. We've kind of already worked through a bit of lesson 32 because we've already learned about the slope-intercept form. And it just says the y-intercept of a graph is the point at which it crosses the y-axis. The value of x is 0, making the coordinate appear in the format of 0, y. That's also, we said that b was the same as y. Now, it says to find the y-intercept of a line, we can do a couple of things, okay? So to find the y-intercept, we can either use slope-intercept form like we used, or you can let x = 0 and then solve for y. And then to find the x, so basically in this situation, we've got the equation of -2x + y + 3 = 0. So it tells me that really I could use this and plug in 0 for x. So I'd have -2 times 0 + y + 3 = 0. -2 times 0 is 0 + y + 3 = 0. So I've got y + 3 = 0, subtract 3, and y = -3. So that's one way if you're just trying to find the y-intercept. If you're not concerned if the directions didn't tell you to find the slope, then you can just substitute 0 for x and solve. But usually you're going to need to go ahead and do slope-intercept form that we were just doing, okay, where we solve for y = mx + b. So we're going to practice with that a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at the homework, the classwork 1. It says rewrite each equation in slope-intercept form. So right by where it says classwork, I want you to write equal mx + b. we need to write each equation solve for y, or isolating y. We're using our properties of equality to get y by itself. If we have to add something to move from side to side, subtracting something to move from side to side, but always know that if I'm solving for y, if I have something with y, what do I know I'm going to have to do eventually?
Divide.
Divide. But that also means that you have to divide each term of the equation. Okay, so we can't forget everything else. So let's go ahead and look at the first one. I'm trying to solve for y. What two things are on the left that need to move?
4x and 2.
4x and 2, they are both positive. So I can actually, in one step, I can do minus 4x, minus 2, minus 4x, minus 2. So that means y is equal to negative 4x minus 2. Now the next part of our directions say give the slope and the y-intercept. Now this is where we have to be real careful because we've got it in y equals mx plus b form. So we know we can slope and we can find b. But I have to pay attention to what my directions asked me to do. The directions did not ask for b, did it? The directions asked for the y-intercept. So I know that my slope is m. And I know that my y-intercept is going to be an ordered pair. So anytime you are asked for the y-intercept, your answer should be written as an ordered pair. So if y equals negative 4x minus 2, what is my slope?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. What is my y-intercept?
0, negative 2.
0, negative 2. Yes.
So when do we know just to, like, is the substituting the x for 0 just an optional thing?
If it just says solve for the y-intercept, then you could just do that. But in this one, it says give the slope and the y-intercept. So I wouldn't do two separate problems. I would just do one and solve and do the one that where you can solve for both. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Trying to solve for y. What is on the left that needs to move to the right?
3x and negative 5.
3x and negative 5. How am I going to move 3x?
Subtraction.
I need to subtract it. How do I move negative 5?
Addition.
I need to add it. If I subtract 3x and add 5 on the left, I have to subtract 3x and add 5 on the right. So y equals negative 3x plus 5. So what is my slope?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. What is my y-intercept?
0,
5.
0, 5. Yes. Sure. X minus 2y plus 6 equals 0. Remember, I'm trying to isolate y. What needs to move from the left to the right first?
X and 6.
X and 6, they're both positive, so I subtract x and subtract 6. If I do it on the left-hand side, I have to do it on the right-hand side. So notice now I have negative 2y is equal to negative x minus 6. This is the point where I'm going to have to divide because I need y by himself. I've already moved everything that can move. So now if I divide negative 2y by negative 2, I have to divide each term on the other side by negative 2. If I divide one term on the left, I have to divide the two terms on the right. Okay? So now I have y is equal to, what is my understood number that's in front of x?
1.
I've got a negative 1 here, right? I'll go ahead and write it in red so you'll kind of see that we understand that to be there. So I'm going to put that negative 1 right there. So realistically, for my numbers, I've got negative 1 over negative 2. A negative divided by negative is a positive. So now I can go ahead and write 1/2 as my number. So I have 1/2 x Okay, is everybody good with how I changed from this to this? I said I understand that this is a 1 here. Remember, my slope is a number. It does not involve x. I do not use x in my slope. So I know I need to have a number in front of x to be able to be m. So I'm going to use that 1 there. A negative divided by negative is a positive, so I end up with 1/2 x. What is -6 divided by -2?
3.
What kind of 3?
Positive.
Positive 3, so I need to put a plus sign between the two. Do not let this hang you up and think that this is going to be a negative. What I have to pay attention to, my signs that go between terms are determined based on if it's a positive or negative number. Because this ends up being a positive number, then that's why it has the positive sign in front of it. A positive sign and a plus are the same thing. That was something I did not get in school. I thought it was magic on how you figured out, well, what sign goes right here? But up here it has negative. Why is it positive down here? Because when I do this calculation, it gives me a positive answer. So it's going to be +3. Jack?
If it's 1/2 x, if we had to graph that, how would that work?
Okay, how would that work? Let's take a look at that. What is my slope? What is m?
1/2.
1/2. So what does that mean I would do? 1 or 1 over -2 and go left 2. So a slope that's a fraction is really what we need. Because a lot of times we get freaked out when we end up with fraction numbers and fraction answers, but when we're doing slope, it's good to have a fraction.
Magic.
Do it. So what does y-intercept equal?
3. I mean 1, 0, 3.
0,
0, 3.
3. It was unstable.
Oh.
Okay, so sometimes when it's unstable, it'll totally shut it down. All right, 2x plus 3y minus 6 equals 0. What is on the left that needs to move to the right?
2x and -6.
2x and -6. 2x is positive, so I'm going to move it by subtracting. -6 is negative, so I'm going to move it by adding. If I do it on the left-hand side, I have to do it to the right-hand side. So if I subtract 2x and add 3, on the left-hand side, I'm left with 3y equals -2x plus 3. Can I leave it like this?
No, man.
Why?
Because you can't have a
Because
number
you
of
have-
y.
Y has to be all by itself.
Where'd 3 come from?
Huh?
Where'd 3 come from?
Oh, that's supposed to be a 6, isn't it?
Oh,
It's magic.
okay.
Add 6, add 6. Sorry.
3 just showed up.
I'm sorry.
There we go. All right. 3y equals -2x plus 6. What do I need to do with that 3?
Divide.
If this is multiplication, I undo it using division. So I divide 3y by 3, but that also means I have to multiply -2x by that's not negative, my bad. Divide by 3, have to divide 6 by 3. I'm dividing each term by 3. So what is 3y divided by 3?
Y.
Why? Because I said so. What is -2x divided by 3? How am I going to break this apart into m and x?
You're just gonna do -2 divided by 3. Or over
Just,
3.
yeah.
-2 over 3 or -2/3 and put my x by the side.
Plus 2.
Plus 6 divided by 3
2.
is 2. So it's +2. The reason it's a plus sign is because these were positive numbers and I have a positive solution. What is my slope here?
-2 over 3.
-2 over 3. I could also use that as 2 over -3 if I needed to graph it. And what is my y-intercept?
0, 2.
0, 2. Does everybody feel pretty comfortable with this? Solve for y, give your value of m and your y-intercept. So, activities 2 will be homework to solve for y. Let's go ahead and look at activities 3 together.
Great. Are we numbering down or side?
What do y'all want to do?
Are we
Down.
Down?
Down.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 through 9 on page 71. Now let's go ahead and turn and look at activities 3 on page 72. Now my directions say write an equation having the given slope and the y-intercept and then graph it. Okay? It tells me to write an equation. What form of an equation am I going to write? What did we just learn about? Y equals mx plus b. So right above that where it says write an equation, write y equals mx plus b. I need to use the information they've given me to write it in this equation. So for the first one, y equals what? 1x plus 3. Or I could leave it as y equals x plus 3. Either way. All I did was use this equation, this formula, plug in m and b, so y equals x plus 3. Now, how can I graph that? So what I want to do over here is let's go ahead and write some notes and write 1 graph y intercept. You're always going to see me just write y dash int or just y int. It just depends on if I forget the dash or not. But usually that just helps. Don't write out the whole damn thing. Just write y int. Okay. So the y-intercept. So the first thing I do is graph my y-intercept. The second thing I do is I use slope to graph at least 2 more points. Use my slope to graph at least 2 more points. Then step 3 is to connect points with straight line with arrows on each end. So that's what you're going to be doing here. You're going to graph the y-intercept, use the slope to find at least 2 more points, connect the dots, connect your points with a straight line, draw the arrows on the end. So go ahead and do that for that first one. We've already said that my slope is 1, b is 3. So what am I going to graph first? If I'm graphing the y-intercept, what is that going to be?
0, 3.
0, 3. So I start at 0 and go up 3. So I've got 0, 3. Start at your origin, just go up 3. Now we said my slope is 1. So remember that means it could be a positive 1 over a positive 1, or it could be a negative 1 over a negative 1. My signs determine up or down, right or left. So if I'm doing, so the main thing I've got to be careful of is if I'm doing 1 over 1, I can't mix them up and say, hey, I'll do a 1 here and a negative 1 here, a negative 1 here and a positive 1. I can't do that. I've got to keep them consistent. Up and right, down and left. If you want to draw your arrows, if that helps you, great. So on that one, I would have up, right, down, left. So now the thing to remember is when I'm using my slope, I'm going off of the y-intercept that I just graphed. I'm not using the origin here. I only use the origin when I'm starting to graph my y-intercept. Once that point is graphed, that is what I use to find additional points. So I can go up and right. So if I went up one, then I've run out of space on my graph. So then I go down one, left one, down one, left one, down one, left one. I can go as far as I want to go. Once I've got my points, connect it with a straight line. Arrows on the end. Go ahead and work the two below this one. So M is 3 and B is -2. M equals -1/2 and B is 2. So go ahead and work these two below it. And we'll check them. So remember, the first thing it says, your directions say to write your equation in slope-intercept form. So don't forget to write your equation. Always make sure you pay close attention to your directions, okay? Now it will be real easy just to graph that using the information they've given you, but then you'd lose half credit on your assignment because you have not written your equation, okay? So make sure to follow the directions. Wait, how do I write it? Now remember, we have to write an equation having the given slope and y-intercept. So the whole thing is the reason, like, so you need to write your y equals mx plus b equation first, just like I did on the example. Okay? The whole purpose in me doing the examples is for you to copy and write exactly what I've done. So just like I did on that first one, is I went ahead and wrote it in y equals mx plus b form because that was my first step of my directions. So if you didn't write your equation, then you get counted off half credit. Because half of it's to write the equation, the second half is to graph. The first step is to graph the y-intercept. So think about, remember, my value of x on every y-intercept is 0. So I'm always just going to start at the origin and either go up or down based on what b is. Is it positive or negative? All right, y'all can take a break, and when we come back, we'll check it.
It's a worksheet. I'm excited for the attention. Hey, do you have my test? She sent it to me. I know, but do you have my test? Yeah, it's mine. So I turned it in. Yeah, I turned mine in.
Did you put your, did you do yours online?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, so I emailed it to you last night.
Okay.
Yeah, if you uploaded it, I emailed it.
How's my phone at 50%? Was that 100?
I do have a very house that's, I do have a room in the house that's very high up. That's why I keep my curtains closed. I hate it when my mom opens the curtains because then I can't. That's why I'm not scared of heights. Other students are something who seem to have fascinated at that blue line. What the frick?
What's up, man? Ready for practice tonight?
You're sitting. Because I'm hungry.
Hey, Mr. Perry. Good. How are you? How's y'all? I'm sure you could send for tickets on those lines. They're a little boring. This like is their block though, and Algebra Hey, kid, can't do that. Over here.
Why do you have that?
Literally, like my life is like that. I can spell every big word.
Look out, hands for weapon. But then the small words, you're like,
I know.
it's like math, like you're like all that complicated stuff, and it's like 2 + 2, and you're like, hold on.
Be sure not to like solve for X this.
Solve for the plus sign.
You got stuck.
I'm ready to fix
Jonas? You here?
Who knows who Richard is?
That one.
Sir Richard?
I was meant, yeah, you had it on the first Zoom. I even made a meme of you. I snapshotted the Zoom
Oh, yeah, I remember.
and I like pixelated it.
I was so disappointed.
It says you
What do you
just
do?
lost your way. See, like,
Hey, Micah, I just talked to your mom, and so I'm gonna send you a link to log in at 2:30, and then we'll answer questions at 2:30 when I finish teaching. So I'll send you a link in just a little while, and then at 2:30, if you can log in, because I think your mom said you'll have to leave at like 3:15 or something. So anyway, I'll send you a link, and we'll meet at 2:30 and go over the questions. Alrighty, so let's go back to this. Let's go ahead and work on our graphing. So remember, hopefully you wrote down the steps that I told you. Hopefully you have it written down. The purpose, actually, let me ask you, what is the purpose in me writing these steps right here?
So we can learn.
So we can put them on our homework.
So you can write it on your homework. I need this.
No, you know how to do it.
I know how to do it. I don't need to write these up here. This is not to help me. This is to help you, because chances are, as soon as you leave here, well, first of all, chances are, if you didn't write them there, and as I was walking around the room, I saw a lot of people going.
Yeah, that was me.
You know where to start.
Yeah, not surprised.
Okay? So that's why as I walked around, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. This is where you start. That's the purpose of me writing it up there, is to tell you. So then when you get home and you're going, I'm not sure what to do. Oh, my directions say to write the equation. Look, we wrote y = mx + b at the top of the paper. That must be the equation I'm supposed to write. Okay, so that kind of helps you go there. So you're not just going, I don't know what to do. Well, yeah, you do. You write the equation. And then to graph it, I went ahead and told step 1, graph the y-intercept. When I have this equation, I know my intercept. I use my slope because I found it in my equation. And then I connect my points. One of the things I need y'all, utilize the help that I'm giving you. In class, we do these examples together. if you're not writing the examples down together as we work them, then it does you no good. I can't stand over you and say, now write this, now do this. If I've written it up here, it should be in your book. Okay? If I've taken the time to write it up here, you should be writing it in your book because you're the one that needs to learn the material. Okay? So let's look at the one below it. M equals 3, B equals -2. So Y equals what?
3x plus -2.
Y equals 3x. Do I need to have plus -2?
No.
I can, what is plus a negative?
Minus the positive.
I can combine them just to a minus. Okay, if I have plus a negative, then that's going to be just a negative. Negative plus positive. So 3x minus, okay? So that would be the first thing you should have done for this one problem. Write the equation, 3x minus 2. Then how am I going to graph it? What's my first step? What does number 1 say?
What?
Is this
Look at your
graph
paper.
the
Is this written in your
y-intercept?
book?
Yes.
Everybody has this written in your book?
Yes.
Perfect. What is number 1?
Graph y-intercept.
What is the y-intercept of this problem?
0, -2.
0, -2. Graph 0, -2. What does step 2 say?
Use
What is
slope
step two?
to graph
Use my
at least
slope.
2 more points.
What is my slope?
The slope is 3/1.
3 or 3/1. Remember, 3/1 means I would go up 3, right 1, or I could go -3/-1, which means I go down 3 and left 1. So I start at the y-intercept, what I just graphed, and then I go up 3, right 1. So I go up 1, 2, 3, right 1. Up 1, 2, 3, right 1. Now remember, my direction said I need at least 2 additional points. So I've got to have a minimum of 3 points to graph it. I don't really have room to go down, so I'm just leaving it at that. What do I do now?
Draw a line with arrows at the end.
I'm going to draw my line with the arrows at the end, connecting my points. So the graph of that line is the solution to the equation y equals 3x minus 2. The reason it's a line is because there's an infinite number of solutions. I don't want to try to write them all down. Okay, I can't. Now that we've gone through that one, do the next one. Write your equation, graph the y-intercept, use your slope to find additional points, connect with the line.
Yeah, I still got it right. I just got it right.
So it's your y-intercept here. Okay, remember that this number here is my y of the y-intercept. Remember, every y-intercept is an order figure. So like this was -2, so it was 0, -2. This one was 3, so it was 0, 3. So what is this one going to be? 0, 2. Okay, because x is 0, so y is 2. So go ahead and draw on the grid. So now you start off by graphing 0, 2. Now that's -2, because it went down. So 0, 2 is going to be above the origin. All right, what is my equation of this line?
Y equals -1/2 x plus 2.
Y equals -1/2 x plus 2. Great job. What do I graph first?
The y-intercept.
What is the y-intercept?
0, no, 0, 2.
0, 2. Because it is positive, I start at the origin and go up 2. What is my slope? What is my
Slope
slope?
is 1/2.
What kind of 1/2?
Negative 1/2.
Negative 1/2. So if I have m is equal to negative 1/2, that means it's also 1 over negative 2. So I have the option of going down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2. We're gonna do both of them. Let's go up 1, left 2. And then down 1, right 2. You can see where it ran into my writing though. So now I've graphed 3 points. So what do I do?
Connect them the line.
Connect with a line.
With
Arrows on the end.
to represent it.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do the middle column. Let me know if you need help. And 0 and then 2. So 0, 2. Yeah. Good. Now, we use -1. So if I was -1 over 1, that means I'm going to go down 1 and that 1. So go down 1 and that 1. There's down 1, now go right 1. There you go. Try go. 3 points. Look at this one right here. What is your y-intercept? 0, 2. Okay. 2 is above the origin. So it's both the positives and negatives. All right, I'm going to start working these so you can kind of check yours. All right, so if you have finished, go ahead and look up and check yours. So the first one was y equals negative 1x plus 2, or just y equals negative x plus 2. Your y-intercept is 0, 2. So you graph it first, then use your slope of negative 1. Negative 1 means I go down and right, or I can go up and left. And again, I can make as many dots as I want to, as long as I have a total of 3. The next one, y equals negative 3x minus 1. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 1. That means it's going to be one place under the origin. My slope is negative 3, which is the same as negative 3 over 1, or 3 over negative 1. So I can go down 1, 2, 3, right 1. I can go up 1, 2, 3, left 1. I've got my 3 points, and I connect. The last one. Y equals negative 3/2 x plus 1. I don't stress that it's an improper fraction. It does not matter, okay? I'll leave it like that because when I graph my y-intercept as 0, 1, that means I can either go down 3, right 2, or up 3, left 2. Now, let's look at those. We have a total of 6 lines graphed. I want you to look at these two. One of my lines is going up and to the right. One of mine is starting and going down to the right. What can you look at in the equations where you've written y equals mx plus b? Look at your slopes of each of these. What do you notice about the slope of this one? What is this?
Positive.
Huh?
Positive.
It's positive. What is the slope of this one?
Negative.
Negative. So if I have a positive slope, my line is going to increase going from left to right. If I have a negative slope, my line will decrease, or it will go down from left to right. So I can look at each of these and say, hey, that's going to be a positive slope. That's going to be a negative slope. Negative, negative. Okay? Now, You all ready to have some fun?
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't having fun already.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's have some
so-
more fun.
this is Mr. Slopey Man. Okay?
Okay.
And Mr. Slopey Man is kind of sad.
Oh, no.
And so these are
And
his
he's
little
dead.
eyes.
He's dead.
Isn't that sad? And actually, what I'll do is I'll
It's so
fix that one to make it a little bit more straight. Okay. Now here's his nose. It does like that.
Wait.
And then here's his mouth. And it does like that.
Just draw it. Okay.
A positive slope goes in this direction. A negative slope goes in this direction. A vertical line is undefined, and a horizontal slope is equal to 0.